Back at it again. So much.
What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value the prevention of unnecessary suffering? By bringing things into existence, you violate the principle of consent and cause unnecessary suffering. No one needs to have a child, and all life contains pain and suffering. So please, don't cause unnecessary harm. Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? I think it's wrong to cause unnecessary harm. One, no one needs to have a child. It is not necessary. You're not going to explode or something. Two, all life contains harm, pain to some extent or another, and my best friend, he suffered. Life is full of suffering. I know it for certain. So why cause unnecessary suffering? Don't have a child. What do you value? You value the principles of consent. Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a child, you violate the principle of consent. No one has to be here. And not only that, you don't need to have a child. By doing so, you are creating an unnecessary position of pain in another being. Please don't cause unnecessary pain. If there's such thing as a wrong action, I think that is one of them.
Traffic's really dead today. I don't know why. I guess it's Sunday, so Sunday is kind of just like the day of rest or some shit.
What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? If you value these things, you should probably not have a child. By having a child, you violate their consent and cause unnecessary suffering. Please don't cause unnecessary suffering. Be a better person. It's an easy choice. There are 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers. If you want a child, adopt. Do not give birth. Do not start fires to put them out. It's just not needed. you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a child, you violate their consent. And everybody knows you don't need to have a child, and all life contains pain and suffering. So don't inflict unnecessary suffering on another being. You want to do it to yourself, go ahead, but it seems wrong to do it to another without their consent. So please, don't have children. If you want them, just adopt. There's 500,000 in the United States adoption centers. They need your help. To help them, don't have a child. Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? If you value these things, please do not have a biological child. By having a biological child, you violate their consent. No one asks to be born, and it's an unnecessary position of suffering. Please do not cause unnecessary suffering. Life is suffering. Why create need where need doesn't need to be created? No one asks to be born. It's a violation of consent. Do you value consent? Do you value the prevention of unnecessary suffering? No one needs to have a child, and all life contains pain. Therefore, you are imposing unnecessary harm on another being. Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? Do you value these things? Please do not have a biological child. By having a child, you violate their consent. But not only that, no one needs to have a child. We all know that's a fact. By having a child, you are causing unnecessary harm to them. If you want a child, just adopt. There are 500,000 children in the United States foster system. If you want children, adopt. There are 500,000 children in need. Do not create need when need already exists. Why create fires when there are fires that need to be put out? value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a child, you violate their consent. No one asked to be born. We all know it's unnecessary to have a child. It's just something you want to do. Therefore, you are just causing unnecessary harm for a want. That's not selfish and wrong. I don't know what is. So please, don't cause unnecessary harm for just a want. Cause harm for a need. If you're going to cause harm, please have a valid reason. Don't just do it for the whims of your feeling. Are you consistent with your values? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? By having a child, we all know it's unnecessary to do so, and all life contains harm in it. Please, if you value preventing unnecessary harm, do not have a biological child. If you want a child, just adopt. There are 500,000 children in the United States foster care system that need your help. So if you want a child, take care of something that's already in need instead of creating need. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? If you value these things, you should not have a biological child. No one consented to being born, and we all know it's unnecessary to have a child. By having a child, you are unnecessarily imposing risk of harm upon them. If that's not wrong, I don't know what is. So please, be consistent with your values. Thank you. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? If you value these things, don't have a biological child. No one consented to being born, and it's unnecessary to have a child.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do like some talk protesting over there with pro-lifers, and I do it over here whenever I kind of feel like it. So yeah. Thank you. Well, I guess I got into vandalism a couple years ago. The activism I didn't really get into until this year. I guess what kind of motivated me to get out in the sport and actually like do this like directly is like my best friend committed suicide earlier this year. So I mean, I just kind of want to prevent different things, similar subjects like that. Like every day I wake up and I just kind of imagine like what she went through. It's like fuck that, like, you know, like nothing besides than that. So it's just kind of like I don't know that could be doing something valid to prevent someone coming into existence. No, I just do this by myself. So. If you want to get involved, though, you just go to www, swap benefits of the order, the other websites like Anti-Natalist and Advocacy, and there are different like signs you can print out. I went to Fast Sign down on the 93 there, and you can just like basically print it out. I actually I'm getting a fan printed that's like 6 foot by 2 foot, just to stop having kids. And I'll be going out and like, yeah, I'll be going out. I'll get that like a week or something like that. So yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just like people can get involved, and it's just like I love it. I get a lot of people have positive stuff, but yeah, I get like people flipping me off. I get people like pointing little finger guns out the window and shit. You know, people tell me like put myself in like go to Ontario, go to Canada, and stuff like that. So it's yeah, go to Canada. You need life so much, why don't you just kill yourself? Just be there. It's like yeah, it also costs like a bunch of money. And I said one of 8 billion people. You know, if I kill myself, there's still 8 billion people suffering. So, Take care.
What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a biological child, you violate their consent principle. And not only that, no one needs to have a child. You know it is true. And all life contains some level of harm. So please, don't cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate their consent principles. But not only that, you know it's unnecessary to have a child. You can adopt. So please, do not cause unnecessary harm. value? Do you value consent? Do you think causing unnecessary harm is wrong? Please do not have a biological child. You know it's not necessary. You can adopt. So please do not cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary suffering? By having a biological child, you violate consent and cause unnecessary harm. There are 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers. If you want to have a child, please adopt. Do not create need where need never needed to exist. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a biological child, you violate someone's consent. None of us consented to being born. And not only that, we all know it's unnecessary. There are 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers that need your help.
People are typing, so I'm gonna look really quickly what they're saying. My transhumanist and Furious Rocker still sounds. Okay. People are just listening in the chat.
What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? By having a biological child, you are violating their consent. And not only that, we all know it's not necessary. There's 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers. If you want a child, you can adopt. It is not needed. So you are causing an unnecessary imposition of harm. Please, don't cause an unnecessary imposition of harm. biological child, you violate their consent. We all know it is unnecessary to have a child. You value preventing unnecessary suffering. There are 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers. You want a child? Just adopt. Please do not inflict need where it never needed to exist. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate their consent. No one has to be born. And not only that, you do not need to have a child. Hello. Yeah, but you do not need to have a child. And all life contains some level of harm. So you are causing unnecessary harm by having one. So please, just refrain. Wear some rubber. Do something like that. Just don't have a biological child. You can adopt. No, you. I mean, if I'm in hell, then you're probably gonna go there too, because you just wished me to go there. A man in a car just told me to go to hell. But that's really unfortunate, but I have to tell you all, we are already in hell.
Basically, I just believe it's unnecessary to cause harm. You know, it's just like no one needs to have a child, and all life contains harm. I think that some choices are bad, and some choices can be made. Like rape. You could choose to rape someone, but I think we should have laws against that. Those are probably because they harm somebody, right? Yeah, having a child doesn't harm somebody, does it? I face harms in my life. It's guaranteed to face harms in my life. So that's just not like this. That's just learning, right? You learn about life as you go. You can't have good without the bad. Joe said that, right?
This man thinks that we all need to suffer in order to have good things. If you stab yourself in the leg right now, do you think you're just going to feel a little better in the afternoon? You can't have the good without the bad. Just stab yourself a little bit and you'll feel better. You need to.
Thing is, what is no good without bad, right? That they're hand in hand. Yeah, but you're just gonna have all good in your life. So, all right, you're gonna have just all good in your life. Yeah. How would you know that it's good that all good in my life? That's that. Yeah, you're not gonna have all good in your life. That's not feasible. That's not going to ever. go on a
four-day hiking trip all by myself.
Yeah, and then you're gonna return to socialization.
Yeah, I don't need it.
Yeah, but
It's
sit
just
out
a
there.
walk. Those are walks.
Oh yeah, well, I don't think you're very good at That's all.
This man walking in a backpack thinks you need to suffer. You know, I think he's a silly little bastard. He just thinks everyone needs to suffer. In fact, the more you suffer, the closer you get to God. Hell yeah, end suffering. Suffering is bad, y'all. Thank you. Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary suffering? If you value these things, you should not have a biological child. By having a biological child, you have violated the principle of consent. But not only that, no one needs to have a child. You can adopt. There are 500,000 children in the United States adoption centers. By having a child biologically, you are unnecessarily imposing death and risk of harm. So please, don't have a biological child. It's a selfish imposition. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary suffering? By having a biological child, you are violating their consent and causing unnecessary harm. There are 500,000 children in the adoption centers that need your help. So please, don't cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate someone's consent. But not only that, you cause unnecessary harm. No one needs to have a child. There are 500,000 children in the foster care system that need your help. So don't have a biological child. By doing so, you are unnecessarily causing harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate their consent. But not only that, you cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate someone's consent. None of us asked to be here. And when it comes down to it, we all know no one needs to have a child. He says to shut up. I think he's angry. Guess what, sir? You wouldn't be angry if you weren't born. Your parents brought you here to be angry. I'm still here to prevent fuckers like you from bringing children into existence to suffer and die, sir. That's why I'm still here. I have a vasectomy. I'm never going to have children because I have values. I have values, unlike you. Remember, y'all, you are bringing your children into a world full of sadists. That man does not care that he causes unnecessary harm. He does not care that he violates consent. He just wants to do what he wants to do. Your children are a world full of monsters and animals. Please, have a little empathy. If you want to continue living in a world full of monsters and animals, do that yourself, but do not bring people into this hellhole. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate someone's consent. None of us consented to being born, and you know it's not necessary. So please, do not cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, You are violating their consent. No one asked to be here. And another thing, it's not needed. You don't need to have a child. You're not going to explode or something. There's 500,000 children in the United States Adoption Center. If you really want a child, think it's in need, you can adopt. So please, do not have a child and cause unnecessary harm.
What was that? Oh, yeah. I'm an activist. That's one of the many reasons I'm an activist. Here, for me, it's basically I just think it is wrong cause necessary harm. That no one needs to have a child, and if that's not needed, it's many harm to be faced in life. There's such thing as a wrong action, it is cause necessary harm. So I think it's actually bad. So six.
Abortion is life, right? She got the wrong idea.
But basically, So it's like, I think many perspectives
Perspective, I think similarly.
That's what
It knows, yeah, so I'm not too. Do you ever play Grip I must be crazy, but if your son's going to it,
this is small.
okay,
So, it's possible something. So, But you can that study from there's a lot of suggestions that it's also like so.
I appreciate you for sharing your thoughts.
What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you value preventing unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate their consent. No one asked to be born, and we all know it's unnecessary to have a child. If you really feel you need to have one, there are 500,000 children in the United States Adoption Center that need your help. So please, do not cause unnecessary harm. Do not create need where need never needed to be created. Thank you. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary harm? By having a biological child, you violate someone's consent, and not only that, you cause unnecessary harm. No one needs to have a child. If you really want one, there are 500,000 kids in the United States foster system that need your help. So please, don't cause unnecessary harm. What do you value? Do you value consent? Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary suffering? Please do not have a biological child if you think so. Connect the dots. Do you think it is wrong to cause unnecessary suffering? No one needs to have a child. All life contains suffering. Please do not inflict unnecessary suffering. My hands are getting chilly, so I'm going home, y'all. Have a lovely day.
You're acting calmly? Of course I'm acting calmly. I'm a calm and disciplined person. I just don't handle people when they're being disingenuous to me. If someone disrespects me, then I get really fucking angry. I'm a psychopath after all. I don't handle disrespect very well. Hence why I was very pissed off in my conversation with yesterday, and a lot of times I get really angry because I feel like I'm being disrespected. But if someone's just having a conversation with me and they're acting like an idiot, I'm gonna call them out for being an idiot. But if they're not disrespecting me like directly, I'm not gonna like get angry per se. So, I'm pretty calm if I usually, but yeah, it's just like you have to be calm when you're doing activism. Otherwise, you just look like a schizo. So. I should go fuel up my car. I actually kind of want to go get some vape. Kind of burnt. It's kind of really like super fucking burnt. And I've just been like sucking on this burnt ass vape for like the last 3 days, just like nicotine. I don't care if it's killing my lungs. I want my nicotine. So I'm kind of like I should probably stop being just a nicotine and actually get like a proper vape, not burnt to shit. And I probably should have went the other way if I wanted to get a vape. I don't care. I wasn't thinking ahead of time. I was thinking get gas, go home, and then I thought nicotine, and then it's kind of an unproductive thought order. If I would have thought nicotine first and then gasoline, I would have went the other way. But whatever, it's okay. I suppose vaping USA isn't that far out of the way. I just don't like going to vaping USA or going to Tundra. Oh, fuck. Phone's about to die. Oh no, my phone's gonna die. Please charge. There we go. It's probably still gonna die. I don't think it's gonna.
It's at 1%. If I turn my brightness down, though, I might save it. So, who knows? We'll find out. But yeah, we had two really cool interactions today, actually. An antinatalist couple came up to me and said that they were like, well, we didn't know there were antinatalists in the area, blah. And they're like, are you part of an organization? And I'm like, well, not really. I'm just kind of, I went to www.stophavingkids.org and printed out a thing, or whatever. And you can go to there, or you can go to like antinatalism advocacy or whatever website, and print out a poster and go to like whatever store Fast Signs down on the street where I want, blah blah blah. Just explain that to them, So that was a really cool interaction. And another interaction I had was a young lady came up to me and she was really teary-eyed, so I thought she might be like pro-lifer, so I was like gonna go to hell or whatever, and she was like sad for my damn soul. So that was a little like almost kind of I was prepared to be defensive, but so she asked me what I was out there for, I was like, okay, it's a lot of people ask me when they're like don't like what I'm doing, they're just like, what are you doing this for, But so I was still a little defensive, So I just explained, like, there's a lot of reasons why we're out here, that I'm out here specifically for preventing unnecessary suffering, blah blah blah. I'm a negative utilitarian. I think it matters to prevent suffering for all, producing pleasure and stuff of that nature. But then there's other reasons, and I explained how, like, risk of hell, reincarnation, desire, prevention, objective need stuff. So basically, I just explained the whole thing. But when it comes down to it, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I think she basically said, I don't know if she got like my like what like negative utilitarianism or anything like that. But she said it spoke to her. She said it spoke to her. When she was all teary-eyed, I was worried that she was like like all about my soul or something. But no, she was teary-eyed because she related to the message to that extent that my sign saying birth is chalice of all suffering and death, that it actually like nearly brought her to tears, man. So that's pretty fucking cool. I got a person to relate to my message to the point of being emotional. So, when it comes down to it, we do some good out here, guys. We make people. And she took a picture of she asked for my personal phone number, my personal, like, I was like, I can give you my Facebook and stuff like that, so you can reach out to me. And so yeah, she's gonna hopefully reach out to me, but I gave her my personal business card that has my name on there and stuff. So yeah, hopefully I'll hear from her. She'll become an antinatalist advocate, like they talk calmly low in the news. Yeah, basically. Like if I'm in a public space, I act calmly. If not, I'm just kind of like, fuck you, to like an individual. Like if an individual talks to me, I have to know.
Let's just tell them. Anyways, my phone's 100% gonna die. I'm at like 1%. So I'm gonna end the stream really quickly here and start up a new one. Just because this one, it's just gonna be an advocacy stream for me doing, activism, and then I'm gonna basically just do another stream where I'm like, watching activism videos.